is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Ohio.
Welcome to another breezy but bright, sunshiny day at Wrigley Field in Chicago as Fox Sports Ohio brings you Cincinnati Reds baseball. And then there were two games remaining in the regular season as the Reds wrap it up at Chicago against the Cubs. Hi, hello, and welcome to Wrigley Field, everyone. Along with the crafty left-hander Chris Welch and Jim Day, I'm George Grand. The season winding down for the Reds, and these are two teams, the Cubs and the Reds, who entered today with a trigger at the top of their lineups. Billy Hamilton's been the trigger for the Reds all year, and Ian Happ did it yesterday with a homer, but he's done it at the top of the order, too.
Well, he's done it all over the order. If you play for Joe Madden, not only will you be all over in the batting order, you'll be all over the field, too. So you're not sure from day to day what Ian Happ is going to bring, except excitement and production against the Reds. He's had a career against the Reds this year, and he hasn't been around the league all that long. I'm not sure what he's got against his old University of Cincy hometown team, but he really lays it on the Reds.
Well, let's take a look at what he's done against the Reds. The numbers tell a big part of the story. Of course, when you look at numbers, that's one part of the story. When he does it is another part. 7 home runs all told, Chris. The biggest came yesterday.
Well, the Cubs saw something when they decided to pick him in the first round, 7th pick overall when they grabbed him. And just what he's done against the Reds, gives us an indication this guy's going to be around the major leagues for a long time, having a good year. And I think for a young player like that, Joe Madden's got a lot of confidence in him, and he's become a fan favorite here in a hurry.
Biggest story for the Reds and Billy Hamilton. He starts today 1 stolen base ahead of D. Gordon for the stolen base championship in the National League. He'd love to get that, Chris.
Well, Billy's had a hard time staying healthy in the month of September. I mean, he's just coming back now from a broken thumb where he got hit with a pitch. He's also hurt himself on the base pass. He's had an oblique injury that has kept him out of the lineup a fair amount this year. Really, if Hamilton had been healthy all year long, and that Gordon missed some time too, obviously, but had Hamilton been healthy all year long, I think you've got to give him the edge in stolen bases. He has not been as aggressive on the base pass since he's come back off the disabled list. Not sure why about that. I imagine today, if he gets on, you're going to see Billy run.
Well, one thing you'll see is Billy in plays of the year. Whether it's with the glove or with the puppies, Billy Hamilton's been a big part of it. JD, Jim Day will start our countdown from not just plays of the month this time, but plays of the year for 2017.
postseason, and they're both emanating from Wrigley Field here in Chicago. I'm Jim Day. Over the next 2 days, we'll count you down top 10 moments / plays of 2017, and we will begin right now with number 10. You guys mentioned Dee Gordon in the open. Well, back on July 27th, Dee Gordon trailing Billy Hamilton by just 1 stolen base for the lead. And Barnard not only threw him out once, but twice in the same game. It was a very rare play. And then August 26th, how about this selling out, sliding, crashing catch by Tucker Barnard, who has proved he can play at this level on an everyday basis behind the plate. Moment number 10. Top 9 coming up as Tucker Barnard gets the day off from the starting lineup today, gentlemen.
Speaking of that starting lineup, TB is not in the lineup, but Billy Hamilton is. Let's check your Menard starting lineup for Brian Price and the Reds, who come in 67 and 93, 24 games back of the Cubs in the division. Hamilton to lead it off. Suarez moved up to the number 2 spot. Joey Votto trying to play in 162. Here's 161 today. Scooter, Duvall, Schebler, Peraza, Turner, and Stevens your starter. And here's John Lester will get the ball. There's a bloop behind shortstop, but right there is Addison Russell, and he'll glove it. A broken back pop, and in one pitch, Lester takes care of Billy Hamilton, who's had good success against him.
Well, John Lester this year, you see, making number 32 start of the year for Lester. It's going to be a short start. He's not going to go deep into the ball game. They probably hope to do like Jose Quintana yesterday, have about 80 pitches under his belt. Coming off a good outing, although this has been one of the worst years overall of John Lester's very good career. He's got 158 career wins against only 92 losses. So you raise the bar of expectation a little bit with Lester, but you know, just the eye test tells you that there's something not right. His fastball is off a little bit. The spin on his curveball isn't as good. He's leaving the pitches down in the hitting zone rather than attacking the four-seamer up around the letters, and he's trying to right the ship here before they go to the playoffs.
That career record, 158 victories, and against the Reds for his career, 4-1 with an ERA of 4.56. 65 degrees. The wind not quite as blustery as it was yesterday. Yesterday was coming straight in and cut down at least 3 balls that might have been out of the park on another day. Today it's blowing variable, but right now towards the left field corner. Eugenio Suarez bumped up to the number 2 spot in the lineup. 3 balls and no strikes from Lester. Suarez 8 for 25 and 2 home runs against this lefty. And there's the strike, says the home plate umpire and crew chief here, Mike Winters. Marty Foster's down at first. John Tumpain, the umpire, at second, and Mike Wichlinski is your umpire at third. This hit pretty good to left, but it'll hang up at the warning track, and Kyle Schwarber will glove it. There's your forward defensive alignment defensively for the Chicago Cubs. Cubs come in 10th in the league with defense with 95 miscues on the year. Schwarber's back in left. Happ will start in center, and Jason Hayward back in right. Chris Bryant, who had yesterday off, at third. Addison Russell, Javier Baez, Rizzo. So the starting infield is back after getting a couple of days off following the clinching. And behind the plate is Wilson Contreras with the great arm, and Lester on the mound. You know, this is a pitcher that has had trouble holding runners, so the Reds would love to pay dividends, Chris, get some runners on and steal some bases against John.
You know, it's funny,
Lester.
George, how many teams say that same thing at the onset of a ball game, but actually putting that strategy into play and it doesn't seem to compute, because a lot of teams come in thinking, well, we're going to run the bases on Lester if we get on, but then you don't see him do it. So it really is not just limited to guys like Peraza and Hamilton. I mean, he just does not want to throw over to first base, but you've got to get him on first to begin with.
Here's Votto in his career, 9 for 31 and a homer against Lester. Overall, what a year. 321, 36 homers. He picked up his 100th run batted in yesterday. And as you see the shadow around home plate, this is a later starting game again today. So for the better part of the first half of this game, the shadow is going to be a big factor. These hitters are going to be looking at the bright sunshine of the outfield, and that ball is going to be tougher to pick up between home and home plate. There is a call, strike 3. Votto didn't like the call, thought it was inside, but Lester gets a 1-2-3 first. Now we go to the bottom of 1. Stevens ready to take over. first inning at Wrigley Field. Let's check your Menard starting lineup. For Joe Madden, the 63-year-old manager and former manager of the year for the Chicago Cubs team. Ian Happ, University of Cincinnati product, who had the big 3-run homer that won the game yesterday in the leadoff spot. Chris Bryant, Anthony Rizzo, Contreras, Schwarber, Russell, Hayward, Baez. That's your regulars in the lineup to start the day today. And Lester's on the mound. That's 1 through 9, your starting lineup. And on the mound for the Reds, he turned 23 years old earlier this year. He's been up and down all year, and since coming up late in the year, Chris, when Louisville season was over, he's in the rotation to end the year.
Well, Jackson Stevens is his 7th major league appearance, his 4th start. I'm not so sure he thought he'd get this many starts out there on the mound, but obviously he's threw the ball extremely well his last time out. And he made his major league debut July the 1st against his Cubs ball club, and would have gotten the earned the win in that when the Reds beat the Cubs 5-3. I mean, that was a big day for Stevens. He got his first career game. It was his first career hit, run batted in. And I'm sure when he took the mound today, he was thinking about all the joy that he had last time he was on that Wrigley Field mound.
Well, that was at Cincinnati. This is his first trip to Wrigley, and for him it was a very special moment when he walked out during batting practice to look. He said, "I've never seen this place, but boy, it is as special as everybody said." Now he's trying to turn that into a positive on the mound. That's wide for a ball, so first batter walk to Ian Happ. And here's Chris Bryant. Let's check your forward defensive alignment for the Reds, who committed 2 errors yesterday uncharacteristically, and that contributed to their 1-run defeat. Defensively, Adam Duvall's back in the lineup. Billy Hamilton is too. They both were off yesterday. Schebler's back and right. Suarez, Peraza, Scooter Gennett, and Votto across the infield. And Stuart Turner will get the start for Jackson Stevens. Turner, of course, caught Stevens a lot down at Louisville this year. Here's the meat of the lineup that was not in the lineup yesterday. And Chris Bryant was the MVP last year. Chris, he won't win it this year, but he's had a darn good year. 295, 29 homers, 73 knocked in.
Always dangerous. This is a dangerous Cubs lineup. You know, even when they play their secondary players like they did yesterday, they've got a formidable lineup. They've got a lot of left-handed thump in the lineup. You know, when you've got Ian Happ leading off and then Rizzo batting third, and the guy batting in the number 2 spot here, Chris Bryant, right on the verge of hitting 30 bombs on the season.
The guy behind him already has 30, Rizzo, and he already has over 100 runs batted in. So big power in the middle of this lineup. A little bigger lead for Happ down at first, who has some speed. That's a swing and a miss on the inner part of the plate, and there's strikeout number 1 for Jackson Stevens. 1 away, 1 on, and here's Rizzo.
It's a real good comeback at bat for Jackson Stevens right there. You've got to attack Chris Bryant inside. You cannot let him get his arms out there, whip that barrel of the bat around, and 94 miles an hour is plenty good enough to pitch in the major leagues. And Stevens is a guy that I think, George, for only a 23-year-old, he really gets the understanding of what it is, the difference between throwing and pitching.
Well, you can measure stuff, and the analytics will do that, but you can't measure how a guy learns to pitch. And while he's only 23 years old, he pitches beyond his years.
I think the stuff part causes him to be a little bit under the radar, you know, compared to some of the guys that throw harder, like Luis Castillo, maybe Malley, Romano, and even Stevenson. But you know, when you get to this level, it's all about pitchability. It's about being able to command your pitches and what your breaking pitches are all about. Stevens throws both a slider and a curveball, although he prefers the curve. That'll be a pitch that you see will come in the 75 to 78 mile an hour range.
Happ off first, 1 away. They overshift, but with a double play in order, not as dramatic, with Schebler deep and right in the outfield.
Well, this is what we were talking about in our open, George, or in the pregame show. You see the open right there. If Rizzo wanted it, he could lay a bunt down and you'd have 2 runners on base.
That's pop foul the other way to the left side. Rizzo makes his money knocking in runs. And the question will be for you, which left-handed batter in baseball has the most number of runs batted in? It's that guy, 109.
Yeah, but it's 109. It's not 159.
Yep.
So I thought the idea would be to win games, and it just befuddles me that guys are continuing to try to show their macho rather than sometimes doing what seemingly would be the best thing. Now in this situation with 2 strikes, you don't do that, but I mean, if you're giving a guy a base hit, for the sake of the team, sometimes you have to take it.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Stevens to the stretch, runner not going. That's up high. I mean, I'm with you. Of course, I wasn't a power hitter, but I mean, I've always been taught getting on base, keeping the line moving, scoring runs is what baseball is about. And
I mean, that's what Joey Votto has embraced.
Sure.
I mean, although we don't see Votto bunt very much at all, but I mean, his on-base percentage is about 60 points higher than is Anthony Rizzo's.
Go count 3-2. We'll see if the runner will be going for Joe Madden. He is. That's slap foul the other way. Madden, of course, has been a manager of the year 3 times, twice with Tampa Bay, 2 years ago here in Chicago. At times can be unconventional in his lineups, and at times unconventional in what he does during the course of a game. He'll manage outside the box, and most importantly, Chris, his players adore him, and he keeps the clubhouse loose and light, and in baseball that's critical. Runner going again. That's foul down the first base line. So Rizzo spoiling some pretty good pitches. We'll try it again, 3-2.
Let's follow up a little bit more on that Rizzo opportunity to lay a bunt down with a big shift going on. Now in this game, it's a meaningless game. The Cubs haven't wrapped up. The Reds aren't going anywhere. But if it's a playoff game next week in Washington and the Nationals shift him the way they did, and Ian Happ gets on as the first batter of the game, does Rizzo lay a bunt down there to get 2 runners on, or does he go ahead and try to hit the ball through or over the shift?
I tell you, the one thing I do believe in wholeheartedly, and that is in the postseason, the concept of shift changes dramatically.
But there are national scouts here watching this ball game today. So if Rizzo were to lay a bunt down today, they would certainly make a note that says, hey, this guy's not afraid to lay a bunt down. Maybe we don't want to shift this dramatically.
And I agree. You're talking 14,000 shifts during the regular season. Here's a stretch and the runner going again. Swing and a miss and a throw. Did they get him? They got him. Strike him out, throw him out, double play to end the inning. And I'm not sure, but I think Happ was just exhausted after running 4 times in a row. And he kind of trotted down to second. They get him, and they're going to see if the Cubs will challenge. Joe Madden holds up his hand. And they will not. So it's a strike him out, throw him out to get Jackson Stevens out of trouble. And we'll go to the second, scoreless at Wrigley. Brought to you by Elk & Elk, serious lawyers for serious injuries. John Lester against the Reds. First 8 starts, 3-0 and an ERA of under 3. Since then, His last 4, only a 1-1 record and an ERA of over 9. And an opponent's batting average, the Reds have racked up over 345. Reds are hoping for more of that today as Scooter Gennett steps in. Scooter's had pretty good success against lefties this year. This lefty he's had trouble with, though. 1 for 6 for his career. Swing and a miss. He waves at that, and it's 1-1. We close to the final 2 games of the season. No matter how you evaluate that guy right there, look at those numbers. A tremendous year for him. The numbers tell part of the story, Chris. The other part of it is he's been so positive in the clubhouse, positive in the community. He's been a great addition, returning to what was once his hometown area. Now it's his home again, and he's made Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati his home on and off the field this year.
Well, he certainly embraced the community, and I think the teammates have really taken to Scooter Gennett a bunch. I mean, those kind of numbers right there will make you welcome anywhere. But I'm wondering if the Reds will have to make some tough decisions this year. What if some teams came calling for Scooter Gennett?
I think we got a pretty good indication that Mike Winter's strike zone is going to be pretty big. Joey Votto questioned his strike 3 call in the first, and Scooter takes a second look at this one. For good reason. Back-to-back strikeouts for Lester. 1 away here in the second. And here comes Adam Duvall. Adam yesterday off, 31 homers, 98 knocked in, 2 away from the magic number of 100. They'll play him straight away. For Adam, the total of 31 homers impressive, but 20 of those came before the All-Star break. Since the All-Star break, a total of 11. And as he goes ahead, Chris, you find out first, can I play in the major leagues? You find out you can, and you find out you can have success. And the question is, how do you manage a season? How do you manage your body? How do you manage the mental, emotional, and physical aspect of a 162 game season?
Well, I think it even gets more complicated for Adam Duvall because of diabetes, and he has to take some extra rest. And the second year in a row where Duvall has had less production in the second half than he has had in the first half, and this year it's been quite dramatic.
2 balls, 1 strike from Lester.
I don't think you're going to hear Adam Duvall say I'm tired.
No.
You know, just the way it goes sometimes. I mean, ball players they're not consistent, you know, from the very beginning of the year to the end of the year. Sometimes you have a good month, sometimes you have a couple bad months in a row, then you come back. But it has been consistent the last couple of years for Adam. Works very hard at what he does, takes it very seriously, and when he comes to the ballpark, he's ready to play.
Fouled off. Full count 3-2, and you mentioned the diabetes here at Wrigley Field in Chicago, where one of the greatest Cubs ever, Ronnie Santo, played when they only had day baseball, and so often during the summer it was in the 90s to near 100. Back then they did not have insulin pumps. He had to give himself an injection daily and sometimes twice daily. Still played at an all-star level. Remarkable player and remarkable person. He goes the other way on the 3-2 pitch. It'll be gloved by Hayward, but he'll slam on the brakes at first and hold with a single. He thought of 2, but Jason Hayward made a nice play on it near the warning track and holds him to a single.
Well, Hayward is one of the best right fielders you're going to find in all of baseball defensively. He cuts his ball off in the gap, and being a left-handed thrower, he'll take it and then kind of spin around the old 360 and come up throwing immediately a strong one back to second base. But you have to like the way that Duvall thought about a double right from the very beginning. I mean, he took a turn that he's thinking, all right, if Hayward stumbles one bit or double pumps on that throw, I'm going to second base. And unless you put yourself in that position, you're never going to get it.
So Duvall's on, and here's Scott Schwarber, another one of the Reds with over 25 homers, got 30 on the year, 67 knocked in, and that .235 average to go along with it. Runner on first, 1 out. Schwarber looking for his first hit ever against Lester, 0 for 9. Setting up down and away is Contreras. Chipping away at that outside corner, but misses here, and it's 2-1.
What Lester really likes to do to left-handed hitters, and you see some odd splits right there by Scott Schwarber, hits lefties better than righties. But what Lester likes to do is throw a lot of cut fastballs, little sharp breaking fastballs that break right away from a left-handed hitter just as it gets to the plate.
Popped up left side, wind pushing it. Is there going to be room for Bryant? He'll run out of room. The wind blowing right towards the left field corner. Push that into foul territory and then finally into the seats to give Schwarber another crack. Yesterday it was blowing straight in at about 15 to 18 miles per hour, a little less than that, about 11 miles per hour today, and sometimes in, but more often in the early part of today towards the left field corner.
Had some white caps on the lake yesterday on the way home from the ballpark.
That's before you went surfing or after?
No.
2 balls, 2 strikes. And you know, you saw the statistic of Schwarber and some other Reds lefties who hit lefties, left-handed pitching better than righties. But there's a difference between some lefties and a John Lester or someone like that. The numbers tell part of a story, but when you get behind the numbers, how do you perform against the best left-handed pitching? And that's something that the Cubs are hoping for in their first series against Washington. And the Nationals have had trouble against left-handed pitching this year. Popped up again, the wind pushing this one again into the seats.
Well, on that 3-2 count with 1 out, Duvall was running. He could still get a bigger lead off first base. I mean, if you watch Rizzo and Duvall, they both take about the same lead. And what Rizzo will do every once in a while is kind of jockey back to the base, hoping that the runner will get spooked, and he'll go back too. But he'll play a couple of steps off and then maybe go back right as Lester lifts his leg. Not going this time.
And this one dribbled foul to the right side, so we'll try it again.
So Adam Duvall is feeling a little bit like Ian Happ right now. Happ had about 4 sprints to second base every time a pitcher is thrown on a 3-2 count. Now Duvall's gone back to back.
Spring training, you're running your wind sprints after you play. You don't want to be doing it the 162nd or 61st game of the season. Duvall off, the delivery to the plate. That's rocketed into right. Here comes Hayward. Duvall slips, but he'll get back. And thankfully for the Cubs, Contreras is there to back up an errant throw. That was headed towards the dugout, but Contreras was right where he was supposed to be and took the high wide throw on 1 hop before it could hit the dugout.
Well, a smoked line drive. Man, oh man, Schwarber hit the ball hard, and Hayward's got a good arm and a usually very accurate arm. He just threw it too high that time, but the catcher's in the right spot.
There's your second out of the inning. Duvall still down at first. Adam had taken 3 steps towards second, slammed on the brakes and slipped, but was able to get back safely. Here's Peraza with 2 outs and the runner still on.
See, this is where I would take a shot if I'm Adam Duvall to go ahead and steal a base. I don't know if Adam has a green light all the time or not, but Rizzo is getting about the same lead as Duvall is. Lester's worried about Peraza at the plate, and the chances are much better of a Peraza bloop single than there is a ball into the gap, so you can score on second base if you can get there.
There's your single to center. Duvall will stop at second. So Peraza continues for him, which has been a successful career against John Lester. Peraza's base hit, that makes him 8 for 19. He's hitting nearly 400 against Lester.
Solid contact right there. You know, Peraza reminds me a little bit of Zach Cozart when Cozart was first coming up to the major leagues.
Yeah, good point.
He can handle the high fastball inside very well. He has more difficulty with pitches down and away, and over the years Cozart, you know, has gotten to be quite an accomplished hitter, having a great year this year. It takes a little while, and you got to remember that Peraza is still very young.
Lester again from the stretch. Turner sends this deep to left. Back is Schwarber at the warning track. He'll have room and he'll haul it in. Turner bidding for his 3rd homer of the season falls about 10 feet short, and we are still scoreless going to the bottom of 2. Reminder that postseason baseball is back. This postseason in baseball, get ready for excitement, drama, and more thrilling plays. The 2017 Major League Baseball postseason begins October the 3rd. Go to MLB.com/postseason for a full schedule. By the way, one of those slots has been filled again. The Red Sox won today to clinch the American League East title with a win over the Astros. The final in Boston was 6-3 for the Red Sox. Indians clinch home field advantage through the ALCS. The Yankees playing today 2-1, and the Dodgers need one more win or loss by Cleveland to have home field advantage through the World Series. There's Contreras to lead it off in the 2nd. And a reminder for fans that may not have been following it all year, it used to be that there were different ways to decide who would be the host team for the World Series. This year it's a team with the best record, different than it has been in years past. So it is critical at this stage of the season. For the majority of the recent past, it was a decision based upon alternating American League and National League hosting, and then it was the All-Star game. This one looped into right. There comes Schwarber. It'll fall in front of him. He barehands it, and it's a base hit for Contreras. This Cub lineup, Chris, looks a whole lot different. Wilson Contreras back off the disabled list after his hamstring injury.
Well, it looks better defensively when he's behind the plate. It certainly gives you more right-handed thump when he is in the batter's box playing. That time he kind of looks to left and hits it to right.
21 homers, 74 knocked in for Contreras. Outstanding behind the plate. Joey Votto congratulating him not on the hit but on the season, probably, because Votto has had great respect for Contreras and what he's meant to this Cub lineup. Big swing by Schwarber. Did he get enough of this? You bet he did. Wow, that's long gone to left center field. Kyle Schwarber, who started this year struggling, has come back with a big swing, and this big swing gives him 30 homers on the year, and the Cubs a 2-0 lead.
Well, when you're pitching against this Cubs lineup, the one thing you really have to be careful about is the get-ahead fastball. This is what Jackson Stevens does right there. And Schwarber has just all kinds of power. Gets his legs into that one. He knows immediately that he's got enough. The only question was whether it was going into the street or not. One-handed catch out there by a bleacher creature. That gets him going here.
He hit that a ton. Nice catch. But boy, that's out of here big time. 30 for Schwarber, and now 57 knocked in. This one fly ball to right, battling the wind and the sun is Schwarber, and it'll be in the seats. Well, a home run won it yesterday for the Cubs, and this one gives him an early lead here in the second.
You know, this is the kind of lineup, George, when they're swinging the bats right, and everybody in the world saw it last year because of the number of runs they scored and so on, but it can wear you out mentally because you just can't let your guard down, even for one pitch. And Stevens is probably thinking, well, I'm going to flip up a little two-seam fastball right there, get Schwarber to roll over on one and get a double play ball. But if you leave it up just a little bit, instead of a double play ball, the ball goes 420 feet.
And you know that our old buddy Dusty Baker and the Washington Nationals are thinking exactly that. That'll be the team they'll play in the first round. There's a dribbler down to third. And the other part of that story, Chris, is we talked about batting against left-handed pitching, but you're also batting with the Nationals against some of the best pitching in all of baseball. And that's a good reason why the Nationals would probably be favored in the first round.
Well, I would think so. I mean, I'm not so sure there's another team out there that can give you a one-game lineup any better than what the Nationals can. And I mean, really, with Max Scherzer on the mound to start it. And then it doesn't really get any easier the next day if Steven Strasburg gets game number 2. He's throwing the ball as well as anybody right now. Gio Gonzalez, top 10 in the league in earned run average. So those are the threesome that you get when you play the Nationals. That it probably worries Joe Madden a little bit, and probably does make the Cubs underdogs.
And for the first time in a couple of years, Dusty has a bullpen that's come together. That's a bullpen that's very formidable now in Washington, something they didn't have going into last year. There's Jason Hayward. You mentioned his defensive capabilities, one of the best right fielders in the game, and of course he's played some center here too. Offensively, 259, 11 homers, and 59 knocked in on the year.
Hayward is the kind of guy, though, George, those don't look like very good numbers. 259, only 11 home runs. He's been out of the lineup a lot, but he's the kind of player that can get hot over a short series and just carry a ball club.
Nub to the left side, it'll go foul.
And that's where they're going to pitch him. When they see him in Washington, D.C., the Nationals are just going to pound him inside. He has a tendency to jam himself on a lot of pitches that are right in on the fists.
It's a swing that, as he has gotten older, has gotten bigger. He's tried to adjust it, cut it down a little bit. He's worked very hard to do that. Against the Reds, he continues to be tough, no matter what uniform he has worn. Breaking ball just misses. Two balls, two strikes, a single by Contreras and a homer by Schwarber. 2-0 Cubs here in the second. Broken bat. He broke it on the foul ball, and he breaks another one on this pop up to short. Barraza has it. 2 away, and here comes Javier Baez.
You can get yours in the team store. It's a whole barrel of it.
You still got one of your pitcher's bats left?
Oh, yeah. It weighs heavier. It feels like it's heavier and heavier every year.
It's like an axe. Now there's Javier, the Cubs in his honor, and during batting practice today, wearing Puerto Rican strong warm-up jerseys. A native of Bayamon, Puerto Rico, just outside of San Juan, and we all know what's occurred down there with Hurricane Maria. His family okay, but a whole lot of other people really struggling down there. And whether it be Florida or Houston or Puerto Rico or some other areas ravaged, they all need our help, be it financial help or otherwise, to recover after a devastating hurricane season to date. 1 ball, 2 strikes to the second baseman for the Cubs. Uncanny athletic ability and also great baseball sense. Down and in, missing. 2 balls, 2 strikes. 23 homers, 75 knocked in. You know it, the way he plays second, but when Addison Russell went down, they moved him to short. You know, like a former Cubs shortstop, Sean Dunson, he had one of the best shortstop's arms in the league when he was playing short. This one blooped to the right side. Votto battling the sun. Under it, got it. Well, that'll wrap up the second, but not before Contreras single and Schwarber drills one for his 30th homer. 2-0 Cubs. From the windy city of Chicago, Cincinnati Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio, being brought to you by Chevy. Check out our award-winning lineup only at your tri-state Chevy dealer. And by Skyline Chili. Hey, feeling good? It's Skyline time. Feeling good at the ballpark today. Another capacity crowd on hand. A beautiful day for baseball. Blustery, breezy as it usually is, but very pleasant. There's Jackson Stevens to lead it off in the third, as you see those shadows now creeping more between home and the pitcher's mound here at Wrigley. And Chris, we've seen some of the best outfielders in baseball and some of the worst outfielders in baseball struggle on days like this. First the sun, then the wind.
And meanwhile, especially if you're a visiting outfielder, you're hearing it every pitch from these fans that are out there. And if you make a bad play early in the game, they will not forget and not let you forget.
Now they gave Schwarber a standing ovation as he went back out to left field after his long homer. Here's the 1-1. And of course, with all the renovations here, you remember Theo Epstein was the director of baseball operations at Wrigley here, but also before that at Boston's Fenway Park. And under Larry Lucchino, they completely redid Fenway Park, and they've started that process here. One of the adjuncts of that, Chris, is something that you miss, and that's the bullpens right down the first base and third base lines, where you heard it from the fans there.
Well, you can make friends with the fans. They used to be right down here, and boy, it was a great place too. You bring some extra baseballs out there with you, and you trade them for hot dogs around the 6th or 7th inning, so you don't go hungry. Those days are long gone, though. The bullpens are underneath the stands, the bleachers actually in right center and left center field.
As much abuse as some visiting players took, Chris, I think most of them would rather have that. It's like you're in a movie theater. Here's another look at this delivery, just a little bit wide. Mike Winters almost pulled that right arm out. Pop back and out of play again. You talk to the guys both on the Cubs and the Reds. Strange to be in the bullpens now underneath the center field stands. It's not like you're connected to the game at all. Three-two again. Hit pretty good to center field. Ian Happ going back, looking up, and he holds on. Nothing's easy on a day like this, and Happ, who's played 5 different positions for the Cubs, finally gets a glove on that one.
Well, this is pursuit that you cannot give up on. Very difficult here to look at a ball and then take your eye off it and then look back up and find it again. In a high, bright sky, just trying to find it, and he realizes it's going to carry a little farther than he thought at first.
Nice play by the Cubs center fielder. One thing we've seen from Jackson Stevens, Chris, since he's come up, he handles himself pretty good with the bat.
He's an athlete.
Here's Billy starting the day, 1 stolen base ahead of D. Gordon of the Miami Marlins. 59 to 58.
Talked about shifts, George, and you know they're not. The shift that they put on Billy Hamilton is the prevent a bunt shift. Rizzo is in. He comes into here. Bryant is right in here like that. So Billy, if he's thinking about a bunt, today might not be the best day for him.
The only variable in this is where Baez plays and you got a left-hander on the mound. If he pushes it past Lester, who falls off towards third, there's no way anybody can throw him out at first.
Actually, his best shot is to bunt it to Lester.
Yeah.
And in a position where Lester would not be able to underhand it to first base. So that would mean bunt it over here in this area where Lester has to field it, straighten up, and then throw to first.
Now with 2 strikes, that's off the table. Look out. Way high off Contreras' glove. Pretty good numbers against this left-handed pitcher for Billy. He popped up to short on the first pitch you saw in the first inning. Way out in front, and he's 0 for 2. That's strikeout number 3 for Lester. 2 away. Hey, your breakout MLB season is on Nintendo Switch. RBI Baseball 2017 is filled with fast-paced pick-up-and-play MLB action, packed with all your favorite MLB teams, players, ballparks, and a whole lot more. Get RBI Baseball today for Nintendo Switch. Learn more today at rbigame.com. There's Suarez. Fly ball to the warning track in left, first time up. He has also 2 home runs against Lester. One playoff slot remaining, and that is, of course, the National League wild card. Milwaukee, with 2 games left, still a chance. They'll play this afternoon against St. Louis, and they lead it 1-0 in that game. The magic number 1 for Colorado to clinch the final playoff spot in the National League. And if you weren't with us earlier, the Red Sox won over Houston today. That means number 1, it's Boston winning the American League East, and the Yankees as the wild card. The Yankees will play Minnesota at home at Yankee Stadium. That's a call, strike 3, 4 strikeouts for Lester. 2-0 Cubs as we go to the bottom of 3.
of 2017. Number 9, that would be Adam Duvall. Leads the league in outfield assists, and they kept running, and he kept mowing them down here in 2017. And this is our favorite right here, August 26th. Look at the tag at the other end by Tucker Barnhart. Adam Duvall doing it all. Moment number 9.
During the course of this year, Adam Duvall certainly providing a lot of them with the bat and with the arm. He has 15 outfield assists, Billy Hamilton 13, and Scott Schebler 7. The Reds with a total of 40 going into today. They are tied with the Chicago White Sox for the most number of outfield assists in all of Major League Baseball. No balls, 2 strikes to Lester, the pitcher, and that is strike 3. Strikeout number 3 for Jackson Stevens. 1 away here in the bottom of 3, and here comes Ian Happ, who walked first time up.
I really like the way that Stevens goes about his business. I mean, for a young guy, 23 years old, there are a lot of pitchers that were just drafted earlier this year that have turned 23 throughout the season, and they spent the year in A-ball. So he's come up through the Reds minor league organization, 18th round draft pick. So he was never really a high prospect. In fact, the first year the Reds had him, they used him in the bullpen. And a couple of years later, they decided, well, we like him so much, we're going to make him a starter. And he really began to blossom. Not overpowering, but he has that just feeling that he knows what he's doing out there. His breaking ball is a variety of a curveball and a slider. He throws 2 different kinds of fastballs, a 4-seamer and the 2-seamer. And an occasional changeup.
They head 0-2 again to Happ. That's up high.
What he does, though, with his front side, I think, is very interesting, George, from a mechanical standpoint. He's a big shouldered guy, and he uses that front side right here to kind of block the vision of the batter and the baseball. When you watch him break his hands, his glove arm goes way up, almost in the same arm slot as where his hand comes around. See where that glove kind of flashes? And that gives the hitter maybe a little distraction.
Lester retired on the strikeout, and Happ fouls that off for a 2-2 count. Stevens grew up in Alabama, went to Oxford High School, and has had to make believers of everybody since, as you mentioned, Chris, signing as an 18-round draft pick. Reds at first thought he'd probably in the minor leagues fit in as a bullpen guy, made believers that he'd be a starter. And his mechanics and what he has inside of him has shown that he can be a starter.
This gives you an idea of him hiding the ball a little bit. You know what? Because his stuff is not overpowering, Jackson Stevens is going to have a lot of perseverance to show the Reds that he can pitch at a high level in the major leagues as a starter. Because the natural thing to do is to see him and then you start rating his stuff saying, well, you know, at best he's probably a 4 or 5 starter stuff-wise, maybe even a bullpen guy. So it'll be up to Stevens to really swing the vote and sway the vote in his favor to be able to make the starting rotation at some point.
It's a little bit like Brandon Finnegan, too. We talked a lot about that last year. You know, a lot of people in the Kansas City organization didn't believe he could be a starter, thought he'd fit in the bullpen. And sometimes you measure the size of the dog in the fight, not the size of the fight in the dog. And Brandon Finnegan proved that he could start.
Yeah.
And this guy's out of that same mold. Here's a dribbler to the right side. And what will they do? Jackson gets over there, not in time. It looked like Jackson was going to glove it himself, and when he didn't, Votto had to go off the bag and get it. And once he did, Bryant beats him to first.
Well, it's going to go down as a base hit because it really wasn't an error on anybody's part right here except a mental error on Stevens. The rule of thumb for pitchers is any ball that you can take, you take. Now, I think Stevens shied away from that. He was thinking maybe that Votto was going to field that ball and fire it over to second base. But you also have to realize who's running. Ian Happ is a pretty good runner, and he's not going to have an opportunity to be out at second. So if you can field the ball as a pitcher, you field it.
if he feels it in full stride, he beats Bryant to the bag. He doesn't, so now it's 2 on, 1 out, and here is Rizzo in the first with a runner on first on a 3-2 pitch. Rizzo struck out and Happ was thrown out running on the pitch. That's in there, down and in. We talk about the development of this Cubs team and how they become successful. Theo Epstein had Rizzo in Boston, traded him away to San Diego, then got him back here, and he realized while Rizzo struggled in San Diego that he had something special. There's a fastball, swing and a miss. Wow, that exploded up in the zone, and Rizzo retired for the second time via the strikeout route. There's your second out.
That's a big time at bat right there for Jackson Stephens. Not intimidated one bit by Anthony Rizzo. Just comes right mano a mano.
So 2 away, and here comes Contreras. He started the rally in the second with a single to right, and then Schwarber homer to make it 2-0 Chicago. 2 on, 2 outs for Contreras.
I'll tell you, that at bat with Rizzo and Jackson Stephens really shows me a lot. Well, this is what you're looking for in a young pitcher, a guy that believes in himself and his stuff. He didn't mess around with Rizzo, didn't get 0-2 and then started nibbling on the corners. Came right after him.
1 ball to Contreras. And really, you talk about giving pitchers an opportunity, and the Reds certainly have done that in abundance. 51% of the games started by the Reds the last 3 years have been rookie starters, and a bevy of young pitchers this year and in this month of September. So you're not just looking at numbers, are you, Chris? You're looking at how they react to moments like that.
Heck, I don't think you can tell much at all from numbers. The first time through the major leagues, you know, until you get, you know, a year or two's worth of starts under your belt, you know, that's when the numbers begin to determine what they are. In the meantime, you have to look at his demeanor, and you learn little things by him doing little things. So now he's got Contreras all fouled up on that breaking ball.
1 ball, 2 strikes, 2 on, 2 out.
Maybe a little too good of a pitch right there, but he's got enough natural action on the ball that Contreras was not able to center it up. You know, the pitches on the outside part of the plate are always better when they follow a pitch on the inside part of the plate. So I would imagine he's going back away right here, and probably with the curveball. That looks like he's coming in.
Didn't miss by much. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Very often you'll see young pitchers paw their way around the mound when they get in trouble. Just by watching him since he's been up, he'll get the ball, be ready to go. Turner rolls through his signs with the runner on second. That squirts through the legs. They got a shot at third, but no throw. In the dirt, it squirted through Turner's legs, and the runners are now first and third. The down is a wild pitch. Turner did everything he could, but somehow it got under the glove and behind him. So going to third is Happ. Alert base running, and it's first and third. Bryant still anchored at first.
Well, you want to throw a strike right here. You got Schwarber in the on-deck circle. This is the guy you want to come after.
That's walk number 3. And here comes Schwarber, who hit one a ton to left center field to give the Cubs a 2-0 lead in the second. Big swing here, Chris.
Well, it came on the first pitch. The Schwarber saw a fastball that Stevens tried to run away from him, but it was just too high. Thigh high and bye-bye. This is the situation with Mac Jenkins out on the mound right here. As a pitching coach, you want to give somebody a positive something to go after. The last thing you need to say is, hey, you got to keep the ball down against him. He's got a lot of power. I think you got to give the pitcher a little roadmap of something positive that he can work on. You want to say, you know what, you made a mistake on that last time. When you come inside on him, you make sure you miss inside. Don't miss out over the plate. Come right after this guy.
Schwarber's homer is 30th of the year. The bases loaded. That's up and in for ball. Of the 30 home runs, 20 have been solo shots. The one he hit in the second, a 2-run homer. 10 of them have been with runners on base. The grand slam came this year, in a year that's really been a roller coaster for him. He struggled mightily early. Sent down to Iowa, get himself reconfigured mentally, physically, mechanically. And since he's come back, been another one of the spark plugs in this lineup. Today's start is his 101st in left field. A guy that grew up as a catcher and came to the major leagues as a catcher. And here it is, 3-0 with no place to put it. It started with a walk to half with 1 out. Infield hit by Bryant as he rolled one past the pitcher, and then the walk to Contreras.
Well, he's going to need to conjure up the attitude that he had against Anthony Rizzo here for the next few pitches in this at bat.
There's your strike, 3-1.
That's a good spot. That inner part of the plate right there. Now Schwarber's got a quick swing and he's very powerful and so on, but the home run ball that he hit was on the outer part of the plate.
Speaking of spot, this may be the biggest spot in the game, even in the third. Bases loaded. Broken back behind second. Who will get there? Nobody. 1 run scores. 2 runs scores. And Votto will quickly get to second to prevent Schwarber from getting there. A broken bat. Bloop into center. The end result is a base hit that plates 2. All 4 runs batted in for Kyle Schwarber.
You make a good pitch, it doesn't always result in a good result. Sawed him off, but the ball goes into center field. If you're Jackson Stevens, though, you're upset with the 2 bases on balls, but you tell yourself that was a good pitch. And you work on that.
The other part of that equation is the strength of Schwarber. Normally, if you get sawed off like that, it's a weak pop-up to the infield. So first and third, and here's Addison Russell. Bounce back to the pitcher first time up. You talk about getting to the end of the season and being healthy. We talked about the Washington Nationals, who the Cubs will play, getting there and getting healthy here in September. And the Cubs are in a similar scenario. Contreras is back. Addison Russell is back. Russell time on the disabled list. When he sat, Baez moved from second to short. Way out in front, swing and a miss. The strikeout came 1 batter too late. So Schwarber's having an afternoon. A 2-run homer, a 2-run single. Jackson Stevens trails 4-0. Number of the day, and you know, almost every day you could pick number 19 and find something that is remarkable. He's reached base now safely in 30 straight games. That's the longest of the season for him and longest active streak in Major League Baseball. I mean, down the list, no matter how you add it up, put a bat in this guy's hand. He's one of the best to ever play the game of baseball. All-star for the 5th time this year, leads all major leaguers in on-base percentage again. Over 500 since the 1st of August. And during that period has hit over 350 as well. That's second in Major League Baseball. Struck out first time up on a called 3rd strike that he did not agree with. They'll play him straight away in the infield. You saw the big swing. Here's Victor Caratini coming in to play first. You saw the big swing by Rizzo. Then he turned and went right to the dugout after striking out. You wonder, Chris, if he might have aggravated something or twisted something, because Rizzo's out of the game and Caratini's now down at first.
Well, I don't know, George. They were only planning to have a couple to 3 at bats for each of these players anyway. Joe Madden said he's going to play like a spring training game. So I don't know whether Rizzo had enough or whether he maybe tweaked something. Let's hope he did not tweak anything.
If you hear anything, we'll pass it on to you. So Caratini now in Rizzo's spot down at first. Swing and a miss. Votto. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
You know, the thing that impresses me most about Votto, it's not the string of times on base or the number of games in a row that he's played or his on-base percentage. It's his work ethic. This guy works and works and works and works. He was out here before the game during batting practice, practicing, you know, fielding the ball and then pitching it off to the pitcher. You know, the pitching fielding practice with Mike Stefanski. I mean, this is stuff that you do back in spring training. He's doing it on the second last game of the year.
0 for 2, 2 strikeouts here.
And I think he become a leader by setting an example. He's not a rah-rah guy, although players on the team will tell you that he's been more active this year than in years past. But boy, does he is just a tireless worker. And probably not at all concerned about 0 for 2 with a couple of strikeouts. I mean, he just sticks with the process.
Scooter bounces this down to short. Addison Russell has it. Caratini and there's 2 away. Now you can add up how you evaluate a player in this game by numbers. How many games you win if you're John Lester, your earned run average, or what you hit if you're a hitter, or how many home runs. But far more important in a clubhouse is what makes a guy tick inside and what level he holds himself to.
Well, I think especially, George, when you're the highest paid player, you're the most veteran player, you're the only holdover from the time that this ball club was really in the playoffs. There are a couple of other guys, but I mean, he's the main guy from that. And that comes with a certain amount of responsibility, especially when you have a clubhouse full of young players. Your highest paid player better be a good guy and a hard worker.
Duvall sends this into the left field corner, curving. It'll be a fair ball. He rounds first, going to second. So Adam Duvall singled his first time up to right on a 3-2 pitch, and here he bounces one into the left field corner for a double, and he's 2 for 2. And that'll bring up Schebler, who lined to right his first time up. Now, you mentioned Joey Votto and his effect on a clubhouse. I asked Luke Farrell after seeing him. Luke was a great young man, John Farrell's son. Watched him since he was just a youngster. I said, what was the most important moment since you came up with this club here in Cincinnati? Here's Lester with his stretch. I said, I'll tell you, it was when I'm sitting on the bench and we're trailing by 8 runs in a ball game, and Joey Votto struck out, and he came back to the dugout yelling and screaming at himself, and the end result being, I realized just what made this guy tick. And that reverberates through a clubhouse, in a dugout. You got to hold yourself to that level of achievement too. Two balls, no strikes. Duvall off second. Dribble to the right side. Garatini has it. That'll do it. The Reds get a base runner. Their third hit. Nothing to show for it. Trail 4-0. Don't forget, fans, save the date for this year's Fox Sports Ohio Reds Fest, presented by PNC Bank, December the 1st and the 2nd. It'll be at the Duke Energy Convention Center again. Don't miss 2 days of fan interaction with current and former Reds players. Get autographs, take photos, and a whole lot more. For Reds Fest updates and event details, visit reds.com/RedsFest. And now you talk about what the Reds have done over the years in making Cincinnati proud. Reds Fest is certainly near the top of that list. It's just a tremendous opportunity to talk baseball, be a part of baseball, part of the baseball community. Zach Bunkowski's done a tremendous job. Phil Castellini, Karen Forgas, and the whole essence of what Reds Fest represents to the city of Cincinnati. It's great to have baseball in December. What we've done, Chris, you and I have had so many fun moments there over the years. I mean, Reds Jeopardy was still one of the highlights. Some of the old, that was good.
You know what I learned about Reds Jeopardy, George? If you pick a partner from the stands, you better pick somebody smart.
Somebody good.
Questions are hard.
Yeah. There's Hayward, popped a short, first time up, broken back.
I had a young lady, I think you were moderating it that year, that I picked her out of the stands, and she was like a walking, talking Reds encyclopedia.
Yep. Another broken bat. That's 3 broken bats for Hayward today. 1 a foul ball and 2 that went fair. Votto takes care of it. There's 1 away. Hey, just a reminder to enjoy a cold one. To look forward to Miller time later in today's game. Brought to you by Miller Lite. So a bump in the road for Jackson Stevens. The first came in the second, single by Contreras, then the long homer by Schwarber, 2-0. And in the third, 2 walks, a wild pitch, and a single. That by Schwarber again made it 4-0. Oh, those walks will haunt the old scoreboard at Riverfront Stadium, and they certainly haunted Jackson in the third. Here's Baez. Cubs have made the postseason for 3 years, and when this group came up, Chris, you looked at their athleticism, and this guy certainly has been at the top of the list. You looked at Addison Russell, and Baez, and you saw during spring training Contreras, Bryant, you knew they were coming. And what Joe Madden has done and what Theo Epstein and Jed Hoyer have done is supplement the young players with some veterans, both pitchers and position players, that have brought them all together.
Well, they've had the advantage of being able to draft some very high picks. And you'll take a look right here how young they are. Bryant's 25, Schwarber 24, Ian Happ only 23, Baez and Contreras are 24 and 25 years old. So, you know, they've got a lot of years of team control ahead of them. The Cubs will be able to pay them for their good years because they've got a lot of cash coming in here at Wrigley Field. But what they've done, you know, all those players that you just saw, those are position players.
Off the end of the bat, battling the sun is Schwarber. He's got it, 2 away.
So Theo Epstein and Jed Hoyer and company decided it's a lot easier to go out and sign free agent pitching and know what you're going to get rather than try to draft pitching, bring it up. Let's just use our draft picks to get position players and guys that can swing the bat. And we'll go out and sign guys like John Lackey and John Lester. And they traded for Jose Quintana. So that was the strategy that Cubs have employed, and so far it's looking pretty good. They've got a young base of everyday players, and they've got old, experienced pitchers. Wade Davis as their closer, another example there.
And of course, last year bringing Chapman over too. 1 ball, no strikes to John Lester, who struck out first time up. You know, the other part of the equation, they now have, after drafting position players, they now have a bevy of position players, using some to trade too. But now their draft has changed. They drafted almost twice as many pitchers this year as they have in recent years, because that's the next stage of stocking up for the future. And you mentioned Quintana. Not only did they bolster their rotation, and they have him for next year too, and the year after, but also they took him away from the Milwaukee Brewers, battling for the division championship this year. And certainly when the Brewers had starting pitching problems, the loss of not the ability to get Quintana changed the dynamics of their second half.
I imagine that if the Brewers or the Reds or the Cardinals, for instance, realized that the Cubs were hot on his tail, you know, they may have made more of an effort to try to keep him from becoming a Cub.
Milwaukee put a 5 spot up in the 3rd. They now lead St. Louis 6-0 in the 3rd inning, as they're trying to keep their hopes alive for the wild card spot in the National League.
They need a win and a Colorado loss.
The Rockies, of course, playing at home. Milwaukee playing in St. Louis. Breaking ball misses. Another full count, 3-2. There's the 5 spot in the 3rd.
Rockies Dodger game is an 8 o'clock tonight game.
Votto has it over to Jackson Stevens. It's a 1-2-3 inning, his first since the 1st. Cubs still lead 4-0.
are on sale now. Enjoy exclusive perks and benefits by becoming a Reds season ticket member. Visit Reds.com for details. All right, counting down the top moments of 2017. Moments number 8, a couple of walk-off home runs. Mesoranco on June 2nd. The Reds hope they see more of that in 2018. And how about Billy Hamilton on September 4th? Josh Hader still can't believe this happened. His first career walk-off home run and some ups at the end of it. Moments number 8.
All right, JD, it's been a year of some exceptional moments on the field and off as well. You see Billy getting that hand retaped again. That's the hand with the broken thumb on it. Steve Ballman retaping that left hand for him. And some changes for the Cubs, and again, we haven't heard anything otherwise that Rizzo left other than a short stay after 2 at bats. Jason Hayward exits the game, so does Chris Bryant. So Albert Almora is in center. There's a bouncer off the bat of Peraza down to third. Happ gloves it and throws it a little late. Ian Happ moves from center to third, so Happ is at third. Almora is in center. And Ben Zobrist over in right field. Those are the 3 changes for the Cubs here in the top of the 5th.
Well, how nice is it to be able to have a center fielder that you can send out there and bat him lead off, and then when you need him over third base, you just send him over to third.
And not complain about it either. So the Reds had the leadoff hitter on here in the 5th. Peraza's 2 for 2. Single to center and the infield hit. And here's Turner.
See, this is why I don't understand why Peraza just wouldn't steal on the very first pitch. I mean, I hear this game plan against John Lester every time he takes the mound. We're going to run, we're going to run. He never likes to throw over to first base, but you don't see it happen enough.
Turner sends it to the right side, foul, and it'll be in the seats. Stewart had the biggest swing of the day with 2 on and 2 outs in the second. He sent one to the wall and left, and it missed going out by about 10 feet. There are the numbers for Lester. 19 stolen bases allowed, 11 caught stealing. I guarantee you the Washington Nationals will run.
Well,
Trey Turner will be running.
Yeah, and that would be the main thing, obviously, for the Cubs to try to keep Turner off the base paths.
Did he go? Yes, he did. That's strikeout number 6. Let's go back to the studios for an update on the Brewers Cardinals game today. We'll have a complete wrap up on that one with the guys on Reds Live post game, of course. The only slot available, as Phillip Ervin will come in to pinch hit for Jackson Stevens. So Stevens goes 4 innings and exits with a 4-0 deficit. Here's Ervin. Phillip, 3 homers, 10 knocked in since coming up. Peraza still off first with 1 out. And with Lester at the 71 pitch mark, you expect this will probably be his last inning. Yesterday, exiting after A little over 80 pitches was Jose Quintana. And by the way, Jake Arrieta will not start tomorrow. He was originally penciled in, but after the game yesterday, they announced that they're bumping him from his Sunday start. And remember, he's coming back from that pulled hamstring. They do expect him to be available for the postseason, but he will not start on Sunday for Joe Madden.
Now they're going to pitch him in a simulated game where you control things. He wouldn't have to chase a ball, for instance, it was dribbling in the infield and maybe aggravate that hamstring again.
Swing and a miss. That's 7 strikeouts for Lester. Well, you look at the Chicago Cubs and you know the story last year. Remarkable year for them as a team to finally win a world championship, and part of that package was Arrieta and Lester. Jake with 4 postseason wins, John Lester 3, and trailing only Mordecai Brown on the Cubs all-time list. Of course, that tells you when you don't make the postseason for 100 years more, there ain't many folks on the list.
Anytime you're on the same list with horrible overall, you're doing a good job, right? I'm going to have to look him up, George, unless you know his story.
Doug Flynn will fill us in the postgame. Dougie's on top of everything. There goes the runner. Here comes the throw from his knees, and they got him. Great throw, great tag. As Contreras rifles one to second, Baez slaps the tag down, and Peraza's nailed at second. Another look from his knees. A bullet, perfect. 4-0 Cubs. On Fox Sports Ohio, being brought to you by Cincinnati Children's Hospital, changing the outcome together. And by your local Ford dealer. Ford, go further. The Windy City and Michigan Avenue, where the shops abound. Beautiful day for baseball, beautiful day for shopping in downtown Chicago. We go to the bottom of 5. Here's Ian Happ in the leadoff spot. For the Cubs, they'll face Asher Wojciechowski, the new pitcher for the Reds. Jackson Stevens goes 4, gives up 4 hits, 4 runs, 5 strikeouts, 3 walks, 83 pitches, 52 strikes. Here's Asher. Wojciechowski's 25th appearance of the season. Happ has walked twice. Walked, thrown out on a strike him out, throw him out double play in the first. Walked in the third and scored. on the base hit by Schwarber. High in the air to right. Can't find it. Will anybody get there? Yes, Billy Hamilton will. Billy was there because he got a big yell from this right fielder saying, "I can't find it. I have no clue."
Well, they'll be having that same conversation in a few months when they all convene again down in Goodyear, Arizona for spring training. This is the kind of sky you see in Arizona almost every day down there.
Here's Ben Zobrist, who came into the game last inning in right. Zobrist first at bat after Bryant was 1 for 2, a strikeout and an infield hit. Another guy, Chris, that you liken to Ian Happ. He'll play all over, never complain, and always give you a good at bat. Dribble down to third. Suarez over to Votto, 2 away. Brian Giesenslaw is getting ready. So are you. It all starts in 6 days. The countdown to face-off underway for the Blue Jackets home opener at Nationwide Arena against the New York Islanders. It'll be next Friday. Countdown to face-off presented by local participating Wendy's. First at bat for Victor Caratini, who comes in with a .250 average overall, a homer and 2 knocked in. His 57th at bat of the season since coming up. Now we talk a lot at Great American Ballpark. Early in the games, it's the left fielder who has to battle the sun peeking over the top of the stands for the first inning or two. For Scott Schebler in right, it'll be the end of the game that he'll be peering right into the sun, just like he is right now. It'll set right behind the third base stands. Down and in, 2-1. Fifth appearance for Asher. Now just a little over 60 innings since coming up from AAA for the Reds. 3 hopper backhanded by Scooter. Long throw in the dirt. Votto can't hold. That'll be an error on the second baseman, and Caratini is on.
Well, Scooter Gennett playing one of those deep second base positions up here in shallow right field. And just flips the ball that goes into the dirt, and Votto not able to field it cleanly.
Scooter's done a lot of good things for the Reds with the bat this year and a lot of hustle. But same problem he had in Milwaukee at times, mechanically at second. Not usually catching, but throwing.
You know, it's an error. I can't really call it laziness, but you just didn't finish the throw. Just didn't finish the play, and you know, it gives the Cubs another breath. Causes your pitcher to throw a few more pitches. Probably in the big scheme of things, today, circumstances and so on, no big deal. But it's the kind of thing that, you know, you just put another error on your ledger, and there's really no reason for it.
So Caratini is on, and here's the catcher Contreras, or Tommy La Stella, who comes in for him. Here's La Stella pinch hitting for him, and La Stella, the #1 pinch hitter for this Cubs team during the course of the year. 9 for 30 on the year. Off the bench, slaps that foul. Couple of years, Matt Caesar was really the go-to guy off the bench. This year it's La Stella. They traded Caesar, and La Stella is taken to the role and produced for Joe Madden. Popped up, wind pushing it. It will be out of play. Cardinals aren't going down without a fight. They're now in the 4th inning. Milwaukee 6, St. Louis 4. Magic #1 for Colorado to clinch the wild card spot. Brewers need a win to stay alive in the wild card hunt. Cardinals have already had a rough week at home. They saw the Cubs clinch there and celebrate in their stadium and in their visiting clubhouse. And then the following night, in an 11th inning 1-run loss, they were eliminated from postseason play by the Cubs. Votto holding the runner down at first. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Now the Cardinals simply had no answer for the Cubs this season. The Cubs were 14-5 against the Cardinals in their head-to-head matchups. And I'm sure going forward, the Cardinals will be probably active in the offseason, either trade market or the free agent market.
Wojciechowski from the stretch. That's way high. 2-2. I did the AAA World Series in Memphis. The AAA team for the Cardinals made it to the AAA finals to play Durham. They lost to Durham in the finals. Stubby Clapp, their manager, said he had only 2 players that was with him all year long. Everyone else made the trek up to St. Louis or back down from St. Louis. That's the kind of year it was for the Cardinals. Now, Chris, it was somewhat ironic as you were doing the game when the Cardinals were playing the Reds, when Colton Wong scored the go-ahead run in extra innings in that ball game. At almost the same time, his brother Kean Wong hit a grand slam home run for Durham to beat Memphis. Almost at the exact same moment. The younger brother of Colton, Kean Wong. 2-2. And another typical at bat for Tommy La Stella. Spoils your best pitch time and time again. Two short lead down at first. That's inside. We'll go 3-2 again, and the runner Caratini will be heading off on the 3-2 delivery. Votto playing behind him. And spoiled again. Give you an idea of how difficult it is for Scott Schebler right now. I mean, he's got his glove hand up, constantly trying to shade from that sun that's right in his face as the pitch is delivered. He's trying to get as much as he can, and you know the fans out there are giving him all kinds of grief.
Well, he's turning to the fans and asking them to help cooperate with some directions. Hey, if you see something coming my way, let me know.
Look out, fouled into the seats.
They have really packed him in here today. I mean, with a shoehorn.
36,000 plus yesterday, more than that here today. Runner going again, and La Stella spoils another. 11 pitches. And Turner and Wojciechowski trying to get together to find the best way to deal with this pesky pinch hitter.
Got to hand it to Wojciechowski. Continues to pump strikes in there.
He's filling the zone, and La Stella keeps spoiling. That's out of the park on the right field line. And we talk often, Chris, about defense, and the Reds have had tremendous defense all year. But that's now 14 extra pitches since the era by Scooter Gennett that Wojciechowski's had to deal with. And this particular game might not be a factor, but it adds up. Make it 15. And now the fans are getting into it, and give the guy at the plate credit. 11 foul balls off the bat of Tommy La Stella, and he's getting his teammates up too, and the fans into it. He's putting on a pinch hitting clinic. Wojciechowski trying to find a way to get him out. Make it 12. And while all this is going on, Caratini's had to sprint between first and second 11 times. Uncle, right?
Now you put a pickoff move on Caratini at first.
Why not? All right. Wojciechowski wins the battle, but what a battle. Great at bat, great battle by Wojciechowski. He wins this battle. So far, the Cubs are winning the game battle 4-0. Time for our T-Mobile Deeper coverage. Brought to you by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. Steven Strasburg, since the All-Star break, we talked about earlier how good he has been. 10 starts, a 6-1 record, an ERA of under 1. He's been remarkable. Charlie Blackmon, MVP candidate, major league record of 101 runs batted in this season from the leadoff spot. And Mike Trout last night became the second player in MLB history to have 200 home runs, 1,000 hits, and 150 stolen bases by age 25 season. Of course, Alex Rodriguez the other. Tough to pick an MVP in the National League this year. So many deserving players. Charlie Blackmon will be at the top of that list certainly. Here's Billy still trying to get on. He popped up and struck out.
Justin Wilson, the left-hander, the new pitcher coming in here. 65 games for the Cubs this year. That between the time that he spent in Detroit. This one only the 23rd game he's been with the Cubs.
And really, he's a key component of this Cubs bullpen. They need him to be what they brought him over to be, and that's be a shutdown left-hander out of the pen. He struggled with his command, walking batters, and while he's experienced a little bit of a stiff neck the last week or two, they're trying to get him back on the beam for the postseason. His bullpen has come together in formidable fashion. Strop, Rondon, Davis from the right side. They've been outstanding down the stretch. Billy rifled into center field. That's a base hit. So Billy's on for the first time. You would expect him to be off and running. I mean, That's his game number 1. Number 2, he enters the day with 59 stolen bases. That's one more than B. Gordon, 58. Here's Eugenio Suarez from the number 2 spot in the order today. Flied out and struck out 0 for 2.
I imagine Suarez will give him a pitch or two in which to try to run. Justin Wilson has allowed 5 stolen bases. They've not thrown out one yet of him trying to steal.
Short lead for Billy, showing no inclination to run there. Suarez giving him a pitch, takes a strike. Not going. That's inside.
You can see why Wilson might be difficult to steal on. He really doesn't give you much of a leg kick at all. It's almost every one of his deliveries to the plate very much like a slide step. Just a quick little move by that right leg.
And the dynamics change significantly. Although Rivera is no slouch behind the plate, but without Contreras behind the plate now. Rene Rivera, the new catcher. Not going. Wilson over from Detroit along with Alex Avila, and had 15 saves at 8 holes in his time in Detroit. So he's used to pressure baseball, and they expect to lean on him from the left side during the postseason. Not going again, and that's up and in. 3-1. One thing you can say about both the Cubs and the Washington Nationals for that first round of the playoffs, both have gotten their bullpens in order. Wade Davis has been great. Same thing for the Nationals. Their bullpen's better than it's been the last 2 years. Billy not going. It's fouled off. Surprised he hasn't tried to run so far, and now it's 3-2. And they'll throw over. From the stretch is Wilson. And they'll throw over one more time. Rivera wants the fastball in to Suarez. Billy not going and fouled off. Surprised he hasn't at least tried a stolen base?
Yeah, I am.
I mean, yes, you're trailing 4-0, but you eliminate the chance of a double play at the very least. And with his stolen base percentage, you figure it's always a positive move on his part. Not going. And there you have it. 5-4-3 around the horn, double play. Hamilton erased, Suarez bounces out, and here comes Joey.
You know, it just seemed, George, that later and later into that at bat, Billy Hamilton got a shorter lead rather than a longer lead. And it looked like when he realized that Wilson really wasn't very slow at all to the plate, that he was just not even going to try.
Here's Joey, struck out looking, struck out swinging in his 2 plate appearances. Votto, of course. 30 consecutive games reaching base. That began back in late August. Trying to continue that here. Two and 0 to the Reds' first baseman. Going to the 6th inning in St. Louis. 6-4. Milwaukee continues to lead the Cardinals. The Rockies playing later on tonight. Three and 0. On the shoulder. End result is Votto's consecutive game streak continues at 31 as Joey takes it off the right shoulder. That ties his record. 319 times on base safely from 2015, and here in 2017 he's duplicated that number. Pretty good company with Pete over 300 times. Here's Scooter. He struck out looking and bounced to short. 0 for 2. A lot of things have come together for the Cubs in the last 3 weeks. And they had the big series against Milwaukee and St. Louis that they had to win and won. They clinched in St. Louis. They've been playing better defense. Their health has gotten better. One of the question marks that Joe Madden wants to answer is this guy on the mound. Can he count on him in key situations in the postseason? Breaking ball misses. And it's 2-2. Adam Duvall is 2 for 2, sitting on deck for the Reds, trying to hope that Scooter can keep the inning alive. That's a call, strike 3, and the Reds will strand a runner. A hit and a hit batsman, nothing to show for it. 4-0 Cubs.
Montgomery Cubs pitching has kept the Reds at bay, and all the runs have been provided by the product of Middletown, Ohio, Kyle Schwarber. Blasted home run number 30. A 2-run shot in the second, then in the third. They all count. Blue variety. 2-run score off of this. 4 RBIs. Ties a career high for Schwarber. 4-0 Cubs as Schwarber steps in.
Oh, Asher Wojciechowski ready to go back to work after the Reds face Kyle Schwarber once again, the star of this game. A 2-run home run first time up and a 2-run single second time up. That accounts for all 4 of the runs for the Cubs today. That was a year ago right now, Chris, that you wondered whether he would be a factor in the postseason. He was. Became a matinee idol here in Chicago and around baseball for his postseason performance. And then reality hit early part of this year, and you wonder, just like you talked about, how do pitchers react to adversity? How would he react? And after being sent down to Iowa, he's come back strong.
Well, he's got the makeup for it. I mean, you can say, look at Schwarber and say, well, look how powerfully he's built. He's got a good swing. His hand-eye coordination is off the charts, et cetera, et cetera. But, you know, a lot of it is about character. And it's not how you are when things are rolling well for you. It's how you get back up off the horse when you get knocked down.
Now Schwarber taking a long look down that right field line to make sure everybody's okay, and he gets a sign from the folks in the camera booth. Yes, everybody's okay. Now he steps back in. And of course, fans know full well what's happened this year on a couple occasions. The Reds announcing that they will extend the netting next year for the 2018 season. And Chris, you and I have talked about this for a long time. After being in ballparks and down that first to third base line near the dugout, dangerous place.
Well, it's a mandate, I think, by Major League Baseball. They wanted to have it done this year. I think in a lot of ballparks they just didn't have enough time to get it installed, and it won't affect the view of the ball game one bit, or the experience when you come to the ballpark.
Didn't go around, so we'll go full 3-2. You know, in the old days it was rope netting. Now the netting, I mean, you don't even know it's there now. So there's no reason not to have it for the safety of fans. And you saw Todd Frazier after his line drive in New York the other day. I mean, he said it affected him for 2 days, and the fan was okay in the end. That's a walk. So Schwarber leads off the 6th with a free pass. And here comes Addison Russell. Schwarber, Russell, and Happ, the only 2 starters still remaining in this game, with the Cubs holding a 4-0 lead. Russell off the disabled list, said he feels near 100%, trying to get back to be game ready on a regular basis. Had a foot injury that really took a lot longer than expected for him to come back, and from a Cubs standpoint, you just hope he can maintain that health through the postseason. Critical for Joe Madden in this lineup, although when they moved Baez over to short, they didn't miss a beat. This is one of the more versatile postseason teams you've seen in a long time. You know, the ability to move Baez around. We've talked about moving Happ around. Of course, Zobrist, wherever you put him, he produces. That makes a guy like that a lot easier to manage at this level.
Well, you don't do it only in the last couple weeks of the season. You do it all year long, so your players are conditioned to that.
Dribble down to second, 4, 6, not in time to go to first. Look at the force at second, 1 away, And Addison Russell on at first.
I think that's one of the secrets of Joe Madden's ability to relate to the players, that he keeps them on their toes. You know, you may be playing tomorrow, but you're not sure where you're going to be playing or where you're going to be batting. I mean, he has a week here where he calls it, I think, American Legion Week, where the player, they lock the clubhouse. You're not allowed to come early and hang out unless you've got an injury that you're having to tend to. And no batting practice. So you show up, instead of 6 hours before the game, you show up an hour and a half before the game, you get dressed and you roll at it. And I think that those are the kind of things that he's done to kind of keep his players fresh.
Here's Albert Almora Jr., his first at bat after coming in for Hayward as Addison Russell exits the game.
But not everybody buys into that, and sometimes you tend to glorify, manager for making those kind of decisions, but he's not afraid to step out of the box a little bit. And recent success has proved that it works.
Had a great view of the world, not just baseball, but of the world. Pennsylvania native, longtime minor league operative. Mike Scioscia brought him up in Anaheim. And really, the Reds are going through what he used to talk about, the first of 5 stages to become a major leaguer. When you bring up young kids, it's the happy to be there concept. They're just happy to be in the major leagues. And it takes you a couple of years to get to the point where you want to win every day. Runner going, that's hit. Bad hop over the head of Suarez all the way into the corner. And the throw to second won't be in time. It's second and third. A bullet off the bat of Almora. And it's second and third. That took a wicked hop over the head of Suarez down at third.
I'm not sure what the ball hit right there, but it had a ton of overspin on it, and it may have hit the lip right in front of Suarez and bounced high over his head. Boy, Duvall makes a nice play on this ball. Stops, sets his feet, throws the ball right on the money at second base, but not in time to get Almora.
Fortunately for Suarez, it went over his head. Here's Rene Rivera, the catcher, up for the first time. The Reds will bring the infield in, already trailing by 4. Rivera's first at bat after coming in for Contreras. Getting in the 8th spot in the order, with John Jay in the on-deck circle with the pitcher spot due up next. The 1-strike delivery, breaking ball wide. Loop to the right side. Here comes Schwarber. Can he find it? He doesn't see it yet, and it'll drop for a hit. 2 runs are going to score. Again, trouble from the get-go. And Billy Hamilton, look where Hamilton came running all the way over from center and almost got there. Schwarber had no clue where it was, looking right into the sun. So it'll go as a single that'll plate 2, and it's 6-0 Cubs.
Now that's a shame, really, for Wojciechowski. He makes a good pitch right here. It should have been a bloop out that was not even deep enough to score the runner. But you can see by Schwarber's reaction, he never saw it come off the bat. And until it dropped on the ground in front of him, he had no idea where it was, except that he knew it was in his direction because everybody else was looking around there. Helpless feeling.
Sometimes it's the wind, sometimes it's the sun, but the friendly confines, a fickle ballpark on some days. Here comes John Jay hitting for Wilson in the 9th spot in the order. For the damage today, a single by Contreras to lead off the second. A mammoth home run by Schwarber made it 2-0. Schwarber's single knocked in 2 more in the 3rd to make it 4-0. And here the single by Rivera. There's a liner into right center. That'll drop for a hit. Three hits and a walk in the inning. First and second. Still only one out here in the sixth. That'll be it for Wojciechowski. Over 40 pitches, 44. And while the pitching change takes place, time for our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen. You're watching Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio. Season is here, where every pitch, hit, and strikeout, every out, inning, and game has led to where we are right now. The only thing that matters is October. Tune in for the ALDS beginning Thursday on FS1. Only one slot left, and that means Milwaukee and Colorado. That's the only slot left for the wild card in the National League. In the American League, with the Red Sox victory today, it means that the Red Sox win the East, and the Yankees will host the Twins in the wild card game on Tuesday. The Rockies magic #1, any combination of Rocky win or Milwaukee loss, and they are in as the wild card team. And by the way, right now, still 6-4, Milwaukee leading the Cardinals. That's in the top of the 7th in St. Louis. Here's Ariel Hernandez, who will take over after Wojciechowski throws 44 pitches in his inning and a third. 2 on, 1 out for Ian Happ.
Hernandez came up earlier in the year. First time he's been in the major leagues. Third ball club he's been with. Signed originally by the Giants, and then signed as a free agent about 6 years later with the Diamondbacks. Reds got him in the Rule 5 draft this year. Or make it last year in December, which qualified for this year's season. Very hard thrower, got a great arm and a really good slider, but it's really all about being able to find a spot in the strike zone that he can throw that stuff.
Head here, 1 and 2. And that kicks away from Turner. Both runners will advance, so with 1 out, the double play possibility now erased, and there are 2 runners in scoring position for Happ. Happ today walked twice. In the third, he walked and eventually scored on the Schwarber base hit. Scored a run today. Once again, the Reds will be forced to bring the infield in, already trailing by 6 here in the 6th inning. Duvall there, the throw will come into the plate, will be cut off, a run will score, sacrifice fly from Happ, and it's 7-0.
I got to tell you, the ball sounds so good coming off the bat of Ian Happ. A lot of scouts will tell you, sometimes when they're scouting players, they'll close their eyes around the batting cage and listen for that special sound. Happ has got it.
Well, they said that when he played at the University of Cincinnati as an All-American.
It was a ping back then, wasn't it?
Yeah. The only amateur baseball at that level that had wood bats was the Cape Cod League. Everybody else was look out. Well, here's Zobrist. Then bounced to third in his first at bat after coming in for Chris Bryant. That kicks away too, and all the way to the backstop. And the runner will advance. With 2 wild pitches. Now a runner sitting at third with 2 away.
I don't know if that was a cross-up or what, but it was just an awkward way that Stuart Turner went about trying to backhand that ball.
Brian Price seen a lot this year, a lot of growth, some good things, some things that will frustrate a former pitching coach and a manager and his pitching coach Mac Jenkins there.
I'll tell you what they've had a chance to work on this year is a poker face.
Yeah. The stomach may churn inside, but the outward appearance pretty stoic for most of the year.
And I think you do that obviously, so you don't show your players up. You want to teach them something or tell them something, you do it in private. Ryan has done a good job doing that.
And there's a walk. Well, first and third, still 2 away. And here's Caratini. Hernandez up and loosening for the Reds. Rather, Keori Mayo up and loosening with Hernandez in now. And here's Caratini up for the second time. He reached on the error by the second baseman, Scooter Gennett, first time up. That breaking ball misses down. A little wide, 2-0. 8th batter of the 6th inning. Two-run blue pit by Rivera plated 2. The sacrifice fly by Happ is plated to third. John Jay leads off third. And there's a strike. It's 3-1. Everybody looks at Joe Madden now, Chris, and knows he's one of the best managers in the game of baseball. The years he spent in Tampa Bay, 9, and now 3 here with the Cubs. He knows what Brian Price is going through because he brought young pitchers up to the major leagues when they weren't ready. And there's a walk and ball 4.
And he brought him up in a small market that had to stick with the plan. I mean, in Chicago here, once the Cubs figured that they were at the point where they could go for it, they could go all in because of the cash flow that the Cubs have. Which the way that they're developing Wrigleyville, as many properties as the Cubs owners have bought, the hotel going up next door, etc. That's not going away anytime soon. And that ought to be something that, everybody in the league sees and understands.
The Ricketts family has done remarkable things on the field, but off the field too, as you look at the ownership group sitting down right behind home plate. And you look around this ballpark, all those buildings that we've seen for so many years, all but 4 of them are now owned by the Cubs. The new scoreboards, the renovations, the hotel coming up.
All the ones except the ones that are blocked by the scoreboard.
Yeah. And the renovation inside the ballpark, the home clubhouse, remarkable. The visiting clubhouse, still what it has been for many years, subpar. 1 ball to LaStella.
I think one of the buildings that is not owned by the Ricketts is the Tom Browning building.
Yeah.
You can't even see that baby anymore.
Right down that right field line behind the scoreboard.
One of the more memorable moments I've ever had here at Wrigley Field.
Right.
We looked up and saw him dangling his feet off the roof.
Or off the balcony. He wasn't on the roof, but I know Davey Johnson didn't like it too much.
Davey was the only one that didn't enjoy that moment.
It was up here somewhere, you know, and he slipped out of the clubhouse, went out the back door in like a runner's suit.
Yep.
Cover up his uniform. Got up to the very top and took the runner's suit off, and there he was sitting in a uniform having a good time.
A memorable moment, to say the least, for all of us. Now 3-1 count. And that's ball 4. Will force in a run. The 8th run for the Cubs. They lead it 8-0. Let's go back to 1993. A smiling moment for all of us. Bugsy waving to everybody. He gave everybody a moment that they'll never forget, both inside and outside the ballpark.
You know, sometimes we have a tendency to take this game too seriously.
Yep.
I don't think he was ever accused of doing that, except when he stood on the mound.
And then it was all-out war. Well, Hernandez having trouble throwing strikes. Walks LaStella. And here's Schwarber, who started all of it with a walk issued by Asher Wojciechowski. 10th batter of the inning. And it's 1 ball and 1 strike. And talking to Joe Madden, he said, you know, I know exactly what Brian Price is going through. He's one of the best pitching coaches in the game. He becomes a manager. He knows he's got to herd some young players through. That doesn't make it any easier. Your stomach will churn, but he's been impressed with some of the Reds' young pitching this year. He said it takes time. Madden's been there. Matt Jenkins and Brian Price have had to live with that in this 2017 season.
Schwarber can't be complaining about the strike zone, can he? He better be hacking anything close here.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Now finally 10 come to the plate in the 7th inning. And the Cubs pad their lead as we go to the 6th inning, rather, as we go to the 7th.
of the 2017 season. Jesse Winker in Pittsburgh, August 1st. First career home run. He'll remember this forever. And how about the silent treatment? And he went ahead and gave his own low fives, high five, even jumped up. And then finally, congratulating the rookie. Moment number 7.
JD, give us a rundown on how we got to this top 10.
Well, it was a committee of 3. And I put together a list of about 13 things. We do the plays of the month going throughout the season, so we just kind of put those together and pick the top moments. And then Josh Hall and Matt Sigafus aided me in paring down the list.
The dynamic trio.
Yes, indeed.
There's Adam Duvall to lead it off, top of 7 for the Reds. And great to have you with us. Siggy's down in the truck. Matt Sigafus dialing up some highlights for you. Josh Hall, our producer. Ryan Filippetti, our director. Jim Mueller, the statistical assistants with graphics for us. And over the course of the year, Chris, we've been pretty fortunate to have some great people to work with. Our crew that's traveled all around the country. Josh has been the staple all year long. Brian and Roy Alfers, Brian Hunterman, Dreamweaver, producing and directing all season long. Been you lose 90 some odd games and tough on the players at times, but you got to come to the ballpark every day giving it your best shot, and our crew sure has, both here and back in the studio.
Well, George, you know, I think the strategy that our crew has understood, that every game has its own storyline, you know, and we don't get wrapped up too much in the overall standings. You know, you're 10 games up or 20 games out. You know, you've got to cover that game that night. You know, we work around with a lot of very hard-working, dedicated people. And I've been very, very lucky to be around these guys and gals.
We're all pretty fortunate. It is like a family. Adam Duvall takes a walk from Carl Edwards, the first Carl Edwards Jr., the first batter he faces after coming in.
I've learned a lot about the eating habits of our crew this year, too. The next long extra inning game, or maybe, I'll tell you what, the next rain delay that we have this year, I'm going to go into the details of the eating habits of everybody on our traveling party.
That could be dangerous. All I know is, well, I haven't done many home games this year. All I know is everybody's sad because there's no ice cream in the booth anymore, so we cut down the list of visitors a lot.
Well, your eating habits are easy, George. I've never seen you eat. Now, Jim Day, on the other hand, we could start with him.
You know, somehow I knew it was coming to this. A little segue of George doesn't eat, but hey, you know, someone that does. Sorry.
There's Schwarber. 0 for 2, a line drive out and a bounce out. We count on you, JD. You know that. You're first in line everywhere. At the ballpark, at the buffet, and in the media dining room. Well, maybe Jesse Jackson beats him there, huh? 2 balls, 2 strikes from Edwards. Takes a little off, way out in front, and that's a strikeout for Carl Edwards of Scott Schwarber. And here's Jose Peraza. Peraza singled to center, reached on an infield hit, and then was caught stealing in the 5th. You got to admit, though, Chris, we have had some good meals here in Chicago over the years. This is one place where you can enjoy it.
Not necessarily at the ballpark.
No, I mean at restaurants in Chicago.
I plan to have another one tonight.
That'll send Duvall all the way to second. Wild pitch charge to Edwards. I mean, how good has Edwards been during the course of the year? He struggled here with a walk and the wild pitch, but during the course of the year, opponents have hit only 136 off him. That's the best among National League relievers. Electric stuff. And he's gotten greater command over the last couple of years. Boy, well, that's been the biggest difference. When he sets up and turns sideways, you can barely see him. Talk about the thin man. 2-0. Breaking ball. Peraza offers it a pitch out of the zone, and it's 2-1. Pretty good list to be on. Wade Davis on it as well. Davis has really filled the role of closer here about as well as you could expect. Did not have a blown save until this past week.
Well, you know, Carl Edwards was a young man that was really never supposed to make it. A 48th round draft pick by the Texas Rangers in 2011. And he was traded from the Rangers to the Cubs in a deal that, you know, it included Matt Garza. He was kind of a throw-in. I don't know what you're doing there, but what you do when you make a play like that is that you make the gap between the Cubs and the Reds seem bigger than it really is. It's the same thing that happens when you walk 4 batters in an inning. That's a play that you rarely ever see Adam Duvall make.
Base running mistake by the Reds left fielder. He's thrown out at third. Tag applied by Ian Happ. Cardinal rule. Ball in front of you. Don't go. And I'm sure he probably thought they'd just take the out. Base running mistake. Base runner erased. So Peraza's out at first. And here comes Turner. Fly ball out and a strikeout. You would expect next year, Chris, that Stuart Turner would start the year down at Louisville and get the chance to catch on an everyday basis. Spent the full year up here as a Rule 5 selectee.
It's kind of weird the way the baseball rules work like that. You think, well, you spent the whole year in the big leagues last year. What are you doing down here in the minor leagues? That's the one way you can acquire talent through that Rule 5 draft, and the rules stipulate you have, if you draft a guy on the major league portion, he has to stay on your team all year long.
Wide to third. And across the Carpini, that'll do it. The Reds get a runner on a walk, nothing to show for it. They still trail at 8-0 as we go to the bottom of 7. nations to be able to provide disaster relief immediately, help people affected by hurricanes Harvey and Irma and Maria, visiting redcross.org or texting the word Red Cross to 90999 to make a $10 donation. And we hope you can find it in your heart to help those that have been affected by these 3 hurricanes that have just wreaked massive havoc throughout the Florida, Houston, and of course Puerto Rican area. Here it's the Cubs 8 runs, 7 hits, no errors. The Reds no runs, 5 hits, and 1 error as we go to the bottom of inning number 7. Here's Mike Freeman. Took over at shortstop for the Reds.
And Keuri Maya on the mound for the Reds. He's the other player the Reds got in that trade with the Giants when the Reds sent Mike Leake over and received Adam Duvall. So we're getting a chance to look at Maya here in September. He's only been in 1 game, pitched a couple of innings.
Reds a host of bullpenners that they're getting a look at as they plan for next year. Zach Vinci was your new shortstop. Maya delivers to Almora, up for the 2nd time. He doubled to left his first time up last inning. 10 to the plate in the 6th as the Cubs double their lead from 4-0 to 8-0. That misses inside. Hopper down to 3rd. Suarez across, and there's your 2nd out of the inning. After the wicket hop last inning, a little trepidation and anything hit down at you. The wicket hop that went over Suarez's head. But this time he handles it, and there's 2 away, and that'll bring up the catcher Rivera.
Kind of interesting, when the Reds made that trade with the Giants, it sent Mike Leake and get Duvall back. Duvall was the throw-in. It was Maya that everybody really wanted so bad. He's a very strong-armed young minor league pitcher, signed at age 18 from the Dominican Republic, and he was 21 when the Reds got him. That was in 2015. Always a starter in the minor leagues, including this year.
And hit a ton to left, going back, and it will be gone. So Rivera homers to left. That fan has a souvenir to remember of this final weekend of the regular season. And the Cubs lead is 9-0. With the pitcher spot due up, here comes Taylor Davis, who will come in to pinch hit. A rocket shot down the left field line for Rivera, a homer. Chopper down to 2nd, the flip to 1st, and that'll do it. But the 2-out homer by Rivera gives the Cubs a 9-0 lead as we head to the 8th.
of the Cincinnati Reds and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Baseball today. Don't forget football. Charissa Thompson, Tony Gonzalez, Dave Wanstead, Colin Cowherd, and Michael Vick have all the latest breaking news and updates you need to start your football Sunday on Fox NFL Kickoff tomorrow and every Sunday at 11 a.m. on Fox and streaming on Fox Sports Go. There's Pedro Strop will take over on the mound. John Lester started, staked to an early 4-0 lead. He exited. Wilson, Edwards, and now Strop as we go to the 8th inning. Zach Vinci in the 9th spot in the order will have his first at bat for the Reds. And the one thing you like about when you watch this young man day in and day out, there's a bloop down the right field line. Hey, it's going to drop. And how about that? Finally, we've been waiting a long time for it, Chris, but there's Zach Vinci's first hit. You see Freddie Benavides waving out, we need that baseball, and here it comes. Great moment for Zach. He's so enjoyed his time up here and been such a pleasant addition to the Reds. But that first hit took a while to come, and here it is, a smiling one for Zach Vinci.
Good for him.
Looking, praying, will it drop? Will it drop? Yes, sirree. Reds have an outstanding shortstop now, and Zach Cozart. You say just a ball player. That's the same thing you say about Zach Vinci. You hit him the ball, he catches it. Solid defensive player, and there's hit number 1. Hope there's a lot more coming for you, Zach. Here's Billy Hamilton, 1 for 3, has not attempted a stolen base. He entered today 1 stolen base ahead of D. Gordon, 59-58 for the National League lead. Strop delivers a strike, and Billy is retired. That was quick, so he will unlikely have an opportunity to pad that stolen base lead, with Miami still 2 games to come. And don't forget, following each every Red game here on Fox Sports Ohio, make sure to stick around for Reds Live, brought to you by Performance Kings Honda, for a complete recap of the day's activity and, of course, a complete rundown of what's transpiring in the playoff picture. The Cardinals have just been retired in the 7th inning, so it's still Milwaukee 6, St. Louis 4 in St. Louis. If the Brew Crew wins, they'll keep their playoff hopes alive. Colorado, magic number of 1, either a Milwaukee loss or a Colorado win tonight, and they've got the final wild card spot. Earlier today, Boston won over Houston to win the National League East. That means the Yankees play Minnesota in the first wild card game in New York. There's a strike 3 called on the outside corner to Suarez. Eugenio 0 for 4 on the afternoon. 2 away.
Strop has turned himself into one of the better setup men in the National League. And really, the time that he came over here in 2013 really marked the beginning of the rebuild that Theo Epstein had been working on here in Chicago. He traded Scott Feldman, who was a starting pitcher for the Cubs, over to the Baltimore Orioles in exchange for Strop and Jake Arrieta. And Strop got better and better when he came over here. It didn't happen all at one time. Arrieta caught fire a year later, and they've been fixtures ever since.
There's Joe. He struck out twice, then was hit by a pitch, so he extended his consecutive game on base streak to 31. Facing the big right-hander. base, and Stroke gives up the base hit, but strikes out the side. With the bottom of the 8th, 9-0 Cubs.
'17 season. You want to talk about selling out on April 16th? Watch Billy here. Paying the price on the warning track. Going back and getting it, and that track is not soft, people. Boom. Beautiful play versus the Brewers. Billy had a few of them. And he'll be a part of our top 5 moments, which will bring you tomorrow.
Looking forward to it, JD. And tomorrow we'll also ask you, JD, you chronicled the top 10 plays on the field. Also your top couple of emotional moments. I mean, you've had so many great moments. There's a dribbler out in front of the plate. Ian Happ is retired as Votto taps the bag. But those things that have occurred off the field, the debuts by so many families, the moments that we've had that have really touched the hearts of guys in this dugout and fans along in Reds country too. We'll chronicle those for you too. Make your list up for tomorrow. And then Chris is also looking for your top 3 meals of the season too. Anyone that's free, right?
Yeah, you haven't been around enough this year. I've got to go into my pocket.
Wow. You've never been stingy with that. You've always been good with that. Kittlehand's down at first for the Reds. Here's a fly ball into left center field. Billy will track it down. Patrick Kittlehan takes over at first. Votto's day is done. Hey, Reds 2018 group tickets, hospitality areas and party areas are on sale now. Pick a date for your group and enjoy one of the newest and most luxurious options, the Jack Casino Super Suite. This ultimate control space, climate control to the nth degree with an upscale buffet and a whole lot more. Perfect for groups of 30 to 40. Book it today at reds.com/groups. Santa made it, huh?
Christmas comes early here in Chicago.
Sure did today. Now 41,493 impact this ballpark today. And even though tomorrow won't mean anything other than it's the final day of the season, you know they'll be here to celebrate and stay a little longer as the Cubs reach the postseason for the 3rd straight year, 2nd year winning the division. And after you've tasted a world championship once, these fans want more. Caratini up Since coming in for Rizzo, he reached on an error and walked. 2 away here in the 8th. One last roundup for the Reds. Looking to the 9th. Slice the other way and out of play. Tomorrow for the Reds, Deck McGuire will get the ball to make the final day's start for the Reds, and Mike Montgomery, the lefty, will go for the Cubs. Deck, like Jackson Stevens before him, getting an opportunity here in the closing days of the season. That's a slicer to the left field side. That's a base hit for Caratini, on base for the 3rd time since coming on. Here's Tommy La Stella, the second baseman. Stella, since coming on, struck out and walked. The strikeout came after an impressive 17-pitch at bat and 11 fly balls against Asher Wojciechowski. Impressive from both sides, from Wojciechowski's side and from La Stella's side. Right down the middle for a strike, 1-1.
That at bat reminded me of the story you used to tell about Richie Ashburn.
That's a little wide.
He wanted a baseball for a signature to give to a fan, and the Phillies wouldn't give him one. So he proceeded, to foul off 14 in a row or so?
Yeah, he fouled off 14, and here in Chicago, old aches and pains Luke Appling maintained that he fouled off 21 once for the White Sox when the traveling secretary wouldn't give him a baseball. I think Richie had so many great stories. I mean, you talk about entertaining, whether it was on the air or off the air. He gave you so many wonderful moments. 1962, he came over with the Mets, became their most valuable player, and every time he'd start to tell the story, he'd start to laugh, because at the end of the year, as their most valuable player, they gave him a boat. It was docked right by Shea Stadium. That's the good news. The bad news was he went to pick up the boat and it had sunk at the dock. That was the Mets. That's a base hit the other way by La Stella. Back-to-back hits. 1st and 3rd now with 2 outs.
Kaori Maya is finding out very quickly here at the major league level that 96 miles an hour doesn't get you much except solid contact up here. And he's got a high ceiling and a good future ahead of him, but like a lot of these young pitchers, you've got to back off a little bit and start hitting your spots.
You throw it 100 up here and they'll hit it. 1st and 3rd, 2 away. Here's Schwarber, big swing. He struck out to end the 10 at-bat 6th inning. He walked to start the inning and struck out to end it, but he had the big hits early. A mammoth 2-run home run to left center field made it 2-0, and his base hit plated 2 more in the 3rd to make it 4-0. That's all the Cubs have beat him. He and Happ are the only 2 starters still in the game for the Cubs here in the 8th. That's inside. And you talk about hitting 100 or hitting 98. The other great line was Eddie Matthews, who always said, they can throw a jet plane at me and I'll hit it. 2 balls, 1 strike. Pitching is still pitching. Changing speeds, location. Far more important than velocity, huh?
Well, they haven't invented a guy yet that throws it so hard right down the middle you can't hit it.
2 balls, 2 strikes. And we'll go full 3 and 2 with 2 on, 2 out here in the bottom of 8. Single by the first baseman and a single by the second baseman. Put 2 on here with 2 out. Right back through the middle, but right there is Vincey. He'll take care of it over to Kivlehan, and that'll do it. Last roundup for the Reds. They trail it going to the top of 9. Ohio, all the information you need for Reds Live. The last one of 162 tomorrow. Presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. It'll be Mike Montgomery who will replace Jake Arrieta going for the Cubs, and Deck McGuire will get his chance to start. His second start after coming up from the minor leagues. So McGuire against Montgomery tomorrow here at Wrigley Field. And we hope you join us for the final. There's Montgomery getting ready to go to work, and Jake Arrieta still figures in the plans even though he's been scratched after his hamstring difficulties, but they'll have a simulated game for him, and they do have some time, Chris, to get their roster together as well as their pitching together against the Washington Nationals.
Well, that's the advantage that you get when you win the division as opposed to being in the wild card game. Meanwhile, Wade Davis comes in to try to finish off the Reds here in the top of the 9th inning. What a year he's had. 3 consecutive All-Star appearances, a batting average against 180.
32 of 33 he saved. This is not a saving situation. There's a rocket over LaStella's head. And Scooter has his first hit of the afternoon. 1 for 4. A leadoff base hit for Scooter here in the 9th.
Scooter hit Davis's signature pitch right there, which is a hard cut fastball that he throws around 92 to 93 miles an hour, goes 3/4 of the way to the plate and just kind of cuts right in on you. See it sink go right there, and Scooter dropped a hammer on him.
Aroldis Chapman was the closer last year as they hit the postseason, and they won a World Series with Chapman. Here's Duvall. 2 for 2 and a walk for Adam today, a single and a double. And they haven't missed a beat with this guy closing. I mean, Davis has been outstanding. Made the All-Star team. 32 straight saves before his first blown save this past week.
I think he gives you everything that Chapman does, maybe even less drama, without the sizzle of 103 miles per hour.
And you look at this bullpen with Edwards, Strop, Rondon, and Davis on the right side. That's a tough row to hoe. And you really figure, as we talked about earlier, that Wilson will be a key component for them from the left side after acquiring him. Well, that's the tough decisions that Joe Madden there and Jed Hoyer, Theo Epstein are going to have to iron out the next couple of days. The postseason roster, who makes it in the bullpen, who makes it on the bench. Nice difficulty to have, though. Fouled off at the plate. How do you like that matchup? Washington starting in Washington. Dusty Baker's club with outstanding starting pitching. A bullpen that's the best that it's been in a couple of years against the defending world champions. Playing at their best right now.
Yeah, they seem to be playing at their best. Certainly the way they took care of the Cardinals and the way they've taken care of the Reds here in the first two. But that's, you know, neither the Cardinals nor the Reds are the Washington Nationals. And I just think that, you know, you're facing, you know, the best starting pitching in the league when you're facing Washington. And as you mentioned earlier, their bullpen has really become great too. It ought to be a really compelling series to watch.
Full count, 3-2 to Adam Duvall.
I intend to be off the golf course in time to do that.
Part of it in the 19th hole. You look forward, and I remember sitting with Joey Votto and Jay Bruce the year after the Reds made the postseason and then were eliminated in September, and they both sat there and said, we never want to get to September again and not have a chance for the postseason. That's the goal. I mean, you could play for money, yes, but the goal is to keep your season alive, make it to the postseason. Something the Cubs have for 2017 and something the Reds hope for 2018. Duvall battling here. The Reds trailing in the ninth. Right back through the middle. That's a base hit into center field. Rounding second, but holding there will be Scooter, and it's 2 on, nobody out here in the ninth, and that'll bring up Scott Schwarber. You know, Joe Madden's plan was to give all of his bullpen guys some work these final 2 days of the season. Somewhere along the road, you got to bring your closer in, but not in a closing situation, and you wonder how they handle that.
Yeah, you know, I've always wondered about that, George. I never was a closer, so I don't know what the adrenaline must be like there in the ninth inning coming in to try to close it down for someone else. You know, Jeff Brantley speaks to it a lot. And it's a common theme, though, seeing closers have a hard time in non-high pressure situation. And a little something extra just not there. Some guys can come in and just get their work in. Other guys who are used to having a little adrenaline in their body when they come in just can't conjure it up just by flipping the switch.
Schwarber lined out, bounced out, struck out 0 for 3. And behind 2-0 is Wade Davis. Big number for Scott, that 30 home run total. A milestone for him for his career. Started off like a ball of fire, 20 of the home runs before the All-Star break. And then after a stint on the disabled list, has come back strong in the final month and a half of the season.
Yeah, I think his batting average would be much higher had he told the medical staff that his shoulder was bothering him early. But he didn't want to do that. I mean, this guy comes to play every day. A tough guy, hustles all the time. I like the way he goes about his business. I really do. Solid individual.
A lot to be proud of for his season and the last 2 years, the way he's grown here as a player and in this clubhouse. 3 balls, 1 strike for the Reds right fielder. In there for a strike. Full count, 3-2.
Awfully good pitch right there. Starts off the plate, comes back and nips the outside corner.
That's the pitch that makes Davis so difficult to hit.
What you throw on 3-1, do you throw on 3-2? Rip foul down the right field line. Two on, nobody out for the Reds. That's a check swing, but he can't hold it. And strikeout number 1 for Davis here in the ninth. And out number 1 for the Cubs. Chad Wallach will come in to pinch hit. Wallach pinch hitting in the 7th spot in the order with Turner on deck. The Reds try to break through here in the 9th to get something going. Check swing, nasty delivery, and there's strike 1. They give up back-to-back base hits. That gets the juices rolling again for Wade Davis. A little low, and it's 1-1. Jadson's coming up 1 for 8. Spent the last 2 years at AA, then AAA. Catcher by trade, but they've tried to get him at bats in other ways down at AAA this year. Great that his dad, Eli Wallach, was able to come and see his major league debut. That's a special moment for the family. Well, what a player he was, Chris.
Good teammate too.
Oh yeah. Check swing, can't hold it. Back-to-back strikeouts. Well, Reds down to their final out here in the 9th as Wade Davis has gotten his train back on the tracks. And here comes Turner. Those remaining from an overflow crowd of 41,493 up on their feet. The day that the Cubs took control of early, a mammoth home run from Kyle Schwarber, a 2-run shot in the 2nd. Another single that plated 2 in the 3rd by Schwarber, and that was really all they needed. They led it 4-0 and lead it 9-0 here in the 9th inning. And Davis, after giving up the 2 hits ahead of Turner now, 1 strike with 2 away. That's what he's done all year. This was not a safe situation. But Wade Davis, after giving up 2 straight hits, strikes out the side in the 9th. And that puts the exclamation point on a 9-0 win for the Cubs over the Reds. Kyle Schwarber, the big swings. That and more to come when we return to Wrigley Field. Cubs win at 9-0.